Yeah, thank you. A very good evening to everyone present here. I am Chariba Tasneem, the moderator for today's interactive session organized by Law Internships. We have amongst us Miss Manasi Bhushan ma'am. Ma'am is an advocate at the Delhi High Court. She is an advisor at the Constitutional Renaissance Initiative and a columnist at the Social Chronicle. Ma'am's practice areas are civil, criminal, commercial, matrimonial, labor and service, negotiable instruments, act matters, and arbitration. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am will be discussing on how to draft and file RTI. If anyone has any queries or questions, you can raise your hands and we shall identify you and unmute you. Or you may write your questions in the chat box. In the end, the floor shall also be open for questions. Without dealing any further, let's begin the session for today. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shariba and Riddhi. And thank you, organization, for calling me in. I believe that these students are currently interning with you all, or I believe with the organizations or advocates and law firms. And the topic which I'm told to present today on is right to information. Firstly, I would like to know, is my voice completely fine or should I speak at a higher volume? That's fine. Okay, thank you. So I'll be sharing my screen. Somebody please unmute yourself and let me know if my screen is visible now.
Ma'am, it's perfectly visible.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so firstly, tell me, why are we here? If you think, I would want this interaction, this session to be as interactive as possible. So if you, anytime I'm asking any question, or if you want to say anything, feel free to put in your inputs in the chat box. Why are we studying about right to information? What exactly is this right to information? Why is there a need to study or know about RTI? How RTI has helped people? Is it a useful tool, or is it simply something like written in the law and you are here to attend this session, you will probably get some marks, or probably this is a mandatory session and you're here because of some compulsion, that's why you're here? Or is RTI actually some effective tool, or actually is having some benefits? If yes, then how long will this process be for? What all you'll have to go through? How to write an RTI application? Where exactly to give this RTI application? All this today we'll be dealing in today's session. So let's see, what is RTI? What is this right to information? Your rights are guaranteed under Constitution of India. Am I correct or incorrect? Please type yes if I'm correct. That some of the rights are guaranteed under Constitution of India. I would encourage answers on the chat box. Yes, Aryan is right. He says yes. The Devlina is also right here. Yes, Constitution of India guarantees right to information. Now, just like you have right to equality, right to religion, right to life, similarly, you have right to speech and you have right to life as well. Over under Article 19 and 21, since you are seeking some information, you have that right that you can procure some information which is there in public domain. What is this information? We'll come to that in a bit also. But there is a right granted to you under the law wherein you can seek information, wherein you can know as to what is there with the government, with the records. Records can be anything, can be written, can be in form of CD, can be in form of electronic, be it email, be it photographs, be it anything, say a voice recording. All of that you can have an access to it. Why? Because you're a citizen of this country. Even a normal person can do that. We'll also come that in some time. We'll answer that question in some time. Okay, so firstly, let us see some instances where right to information has actually helped people. Now, some people, probably some students who are wanting to have an access to their mark sheets, probably after the exam, want to see how the examiner has evaluated them. Can you file RTI for that? Seeking a mark sheet from, say, the university or the college that provide me a copy of that mark sheet. Sometimes there are some records which you have lost. Say you have given some document in the college and you have lost that copy of it. Now you want that document from your college. Sometimes you have somebody else has filed a complaint against you, say in a police station. So then you don't know what the contents of the complaint are. Then you'll go to the police station. You'll say that please give me a copy of that person's complaint. Police will say, why should I give you his complaint? You'll say that is because it is filed against me. Police will say, I am not authorized to do that under any of the current laws. So then where will you go? You'll seek the provisions. You'll see the provisions of RTI Act. RTI Act provides that if any complaint has been lodged against you, even if it is of someone else, then you can get the information, you can get a copy of that complaint. Why? This is relating to you. This is not relating to any third party. It is filed against you. So such kind of things help in procuring information. Now all these examples which I gave you are at a micro level where you yourself are connected to this issue directly. Now the macro issues, if we look at, say, revealing of some scams, in that as well RTI has played an effective tool. Let us see some examples of that. You all would have seen heard of Aadhaar Housing Society scam. Now this, what has happened in this is the society which was built up in the area called Kolaba in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Now this building was supposed to be built for the Kargil war widows. The widows whose husbands had gone in the Kargil war, their husbands died. And then for them, this high-rise building was supposed to be constructed, called as Adarsh Society. Now, these flats were illegally thereafter were allotted to the bureaucrats and all the people who helped in passing of, say, sanction building plan, say, allowing such building to be risen in Kolaba area, wherein nearby this area there was a helipad which was to be constructed and also some military naval working was to be done. So unofficially and illegally, these flats as a gift, whosoever has passed the file, let's say, those flats were allotted to those bureaucrats, military officials and politicians. Now this did not come into public knowledge at all until and unless an RTI was filed regarding asking the information as to who has sanctioned these building plans, from where did you seek permission, did the government give you permission, did the corporation give you permission to make this building, who are the allottees. There were a lot of benami transactions which were done in this building, which means that these building, the landowners, the flat owners to whom these flats were allotted, those actually never existed. Those were just random names, or those people were not the ones who had actually paid for taking the flat. It was somebody else who was paying the money and the name was given in someone else's name. That is what benami is called. I'm not going into the detail of it. So basically this was a scam which was done. Money was made. Flats were allotted not to these widows but to other people, but to bureaucrats, military officials and politicians. And then when ultimately all of this was revealed, then Maharashtra then CM Mr. Ashok Chavan had to resign. Now why did this all happen? Because a RTI activist called Simpreet Singh had filed an RTI. He had left his job. You can see the profile of his. He had left a successful engineering job and then he became an RTI activist. He is now dealing with all kinds of these issues wherein Mumbai slum dwellers are to be relocated, or he is working for such relocation, and he is a hardcore RTI activist. He writes RTI applications, seeks information and then fight against all such corrupt practices. So this came into light only because of RTI. I am not going to tell you that RTI is an important tool. You need to do this. This is the theoretical aspect of it. Firstly, you need to understand why are you studying this, how it will help you. Is it really a beneficial kind of legislation, or is it only for the sake of passing your exams you are reading RTI Act? Next is, let us see demonetization. All of you have heard the word demonetization? Yes or no? Just a second, let me open the chat box. Yes. So Smriti and Sureshwari and Dablina, all of them have heard of demonetization. Now demonetization was done in the year 2018, wherein the notes of 1,000 rupees and 500 rupees were banned. Logic given by the government at that time was they want to curb black money and all the money should be made in white, as in like it should be shown in the bank transactions. People who are having cash at their home should deposit all these notes back into the bank so that the cash flow in the economy in the country would be known to the government, and then accordingly those people who have been holding cash, who have been dealing more with cash, will suffer. And that ways new notes were regulated in the market, and there would be a regulation of the cash currency in the country. But whether this demonetization which took place was actually sanctioned by RBI or was initiated by government, who could have initiated this? RBI under the rules and regulations, or government suo moto as per say their manifesto or their policies or propagation? Now when an RTI was filed, what came to light, what we got to know later, that the meeting between the Prime Minister and the core committee of RBI had lasted only for 3 hours. Before declaration of demonetization, RBI till then
Ma'am, are you there? I think there's some network connectivity issue from ma'am's side. She'll be joining in a minute.
am I audible? Am I audible? Can someone please tell me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Just a second. Firstly, I apologies. I think I need to file an RTI to my internet service provider and see what was the reason for such abrupt hindrance in functioning. I believe I am unable to see the presentation. If someone can please guide me on this. I am operating from my phone now.
Ma'am, is my
How
screen
do I do
visible?
that? Yes, it's visible now. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So, firstly, apologies again. So, I believe I had told about demonetization as to what demonetization was. And then I was talking about how this demonetization was not approved by RBI. Please correct me if I am wrong. Did you all hear me till then?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so demonetization, as we saw, was not really approved by RBI until after 38 days of such declaration and such happening of events. And then there was a resolution by RBI as to yes, demonetization is correct. So this happened because of, please go on the next slide. This happened because of the RTI activist, Mr. Venkatesh Nayak, I believe. And he is a doctoral fellow. You can go on the next slide. He is the doctoral fellow. In history, he has authored research publications, educational documents, and is now currently a full-time RTI activist. He helps in providing social justice, picking up these issues related to audit mechanisms and finance. So because of him, it came into light that demonetization was not approved by RBI. Now, go to the next slide. You all would have heard about 2G scam as well. Now, what is this 2G scam? 2G means it's a 2G spectrum. There are different spectrums which are allotted by the government to some companies. It can be 2G, it can be 3G, it can be 4G. Now 5G might also come up or has come up. So these 2G the scam which happened was, this was regarding allocation of this spectrum to certain companies. Go to the next slide. You will see that what happened over here was certain companies were given this spectrum at a higher cost, at a higher rate, wherein then Exchequer basically had to suffer a loss of rupees 1.76 lakh crore. Not just 2, 3, 4 something in lakhs, it was in lakhs crore. So this happened, and then ultimately all this scam came into light because of an RTI again, wherein the outcome was A. Raja, who was the then telecom minister, had to resign. This happened because, go to the next slide, you will see the RTI activist called Subhash Chandra Agarwal. He is now the Guinness World Record holder, having most published letters to newspaper editors. This is on the next slide, which is having a picture of Mr. Subhash Chandra Agarwal as well. Now, I gave you all these examples. I can still see the earlier slide. You may proceed to the next slide. Now, all these examples, what I'm giving you here, are showing us that RTI is not simply a very weak law, what you will say. It is a very, very strong law which helps us in having information, in getting that information. Now, when we talk about what is an information, when I say that you can get information, can you ask, suppose you are debarred from appearing in your exams in college, can you ask college that why have you debarred me? Can you ask that why is this illogical rule of 75% attendance is there if you also want us to intern simultaneously? Suppose this is the argument of one of the students. Can you ask that to college? Can you ask the reasoning for such laws, for such rule making, for such decisions? Or can he simply ask the copies of whatever is there in the college record, whatever is there preserved in the documents? So RTI is not an investigation. RTI is simply procurement of the information. Now, information can be anything. Information can be something written, can be something recorded, can be something in a form of floppy, email, hard disk, CD, compact disk, can be in the form of logbooks. Somebody wants to challenge, who says that I had 75% of attendance, still college is debarring me from appearing in the exams. I want the attendance register of this academic year. So then in that scenario, you can procure the attendance register. But you cannot ask in RTI that why am I marked AAA, which is absent, for the classes which I attended. So give me the name of the teacher who had marked this A and P. You cannot do that, but you can simply procure the copy of the attendance register. So I hope you all are understanding. Please type yes or no. If there are any doubts as to what we have discussed, what is information and what is the examples I gave you regarding RTI, what exactly information is. If anyone has any doubts, please type it in the chat box. And I believe you have understood what is information. Please type yes or no. Did you all understand the concept of information, that it can only be the same thing what is there in the records? You can seek a copy of it, but you cannot seek for reasoning. That's nice. Thank you. Okay. Now, once you have understood what information is, if you see the last point, it says this information relates to any private body which can be accessed by a public authority under the law for the time being in force. Now, this concept of private body and public authority, what is this and why is this used? Now, let's go to the next slide and understand the concept of public authorities. Section 2H of your RTI Act tells you as to what is a public authority. Now, why are we studying public authority? Have you all studied Article 13 of your Constitution? Type yes or no. If you have studied Article 13, which is dealing with, can anyone tell me what is Article 13 dealing with? I believe some of you would have read Constitution by now. Article 13, Article 12 onwards starts your fundamental rights. 12 and 13 are dealing with what all laws, what is a law basically. Article 13 is not the review of judiciary. That would be incorrect to say. However, Article 13 is dealing with what will be when you are filing, say, a writ petition under Article, say, 32 or 226. 32 is for Supreme Court, 226 is for your High Court. But to whom, against whom can you file this writ? Against state. So state has been defined. Yes, laws inconsistent with fundamental rights is your Article 13, and Article 12 tells you what exactly is a state. On whom, against whom can you exercise your fundamental rights? So just like your constitution provision, which tells you that anything which is financially controlled, financially aided, and administratively controlled by the state will become a state. So state government, central government, of course, are state. But say LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, which is a body which is administratively controlled by state government or say central government. Say if you're studying in a government college, then that college is financially aided or administratively controlled by the state. Then against your college also you can file a writ petition. So similarly, section 2H of your RTI Act, which deals with public authorities, it tells you there are different bullets. First is by or under Constitution of India. If any body has been created under Constitution of India, which is judiciary, legislature, executive, army, all these bodies are formed under Constitution of India, isn't it? Next is law made by the parliament or state legislature. Any body which is made by the law of the parliament or your state legislature, which is Vidhan Sabha or Vidhan Parishad, then or Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then even that body will come under the purview of RTI Act. Next is all bodies notified by the central or state government. Suppose central government says that from today onwards, even RBI will be governed under the RTI provisions. Then you can file an RTI application in RBI as well. Or otherwise, there's a terminology used which is similar to your constitution provisions, controlled or substantially financed. Now, this RTI Act is not applicable to private bodies. Now, go back to the previous slide. Over there, when I was saying that information relating to private body which can be accessed by a public authority, if you see the last bullet here, you will see that now those private body which can be accessed by public authority, which in some manner are related to that public authority, even those private authorities will come under the domain of RTI Act. Now, one thing you should do is check out your college, whether your college is a private body or a public authority or a state body, functioned by the state government or central government, or is financially aided by central government or state government, and then you're free to file RTI applications in your college as well. Anytime, any grievance, file an RTI application, no issue at all. They cannot deny your request for seeking that information. Now, go to the next slide. Once you have understood as to what a public authority is, now you need to understand. Fine, I understand that my college is falling under the domain of RTI Act. I am a person who can very well seek information through RTI. But to whom should I write this RTI? Is it the principal? Is it the senior most professor? Is it the office staff? Or is it the clerk to whom I should hand it over? Or should I simply write a letter and speed post to college name? To whom should I send this RTI to? For that, the RTI Act has made certain officers called Public Information Officers, PIO. Now go to the next slide, please. You will see that PIO is the one who's dealing with all the requests regarding RTI. You have to address your RTI application to this Public Information Officer. Now, why we are moving slowly? If you realize, we are moving slowly towards how to draft an RTI application. You need to know as to whom you are addressing this application to. So PIO is the one who will answer your RTI application. You have to write at the top to Public Information Officer, name of your college, address of your college, and then write dear sir and then subject, just like a simple letter as you write. So once this RTI reaches the PIO, Public Information Officer, he is bound to reply to your RTI application within 30 days. Law mandates him to reply to this RTI application. If he is not replying within 30 days, then thereafter 250 rupees can get deducted every day from his salary. So that ways it is already providing a penalty for not following the law, for not adhering to the time limit. So within 30 days, if you get a reply, very good. If you don't get a reply, or if the reply is unsatisfactory, suppose you asked for attendance register, say of subject, say TOTS, and they gave you the attendance register, say for contract classes. So this reply is a bogus reply for you because you were marked absent in TOTS and your college is not letting you appear in TOTS paper. So then what you will do, you will file an appeal in that case. Then there is another recourse mechanism. We'll study that in a bit. But essential thing over here is within 30 days, you will get the records of attendance from your college without giving any bribe to any official, without giving any bribe to any clerk, and request him to unofficially give you the copy. You can very well officially procure a copy of the document what you are seeking, which will be certified by that institution. Now let us see the pattern as to how an RTI application is drafted. Please go to the next slide. This is a sample which I have provided. RTI application is written under section 6(1) of your RTI Act. It is very easy. You need not take any fancy paper, no green paper required, no legal paper required. Simple A4 size paper take a blank paper. On the top right hand side, left hand side, wherever you feel right, write the date. Write your name, your particulars, what is your name, what is your address, what is your email ID. Aadhaar card not necessary always. Simply name, address, phone number will be more than sufficient because sometimes they want to call up and ask something, some clarification. So that's why you're providing your phone number. Even if you don't provide your phone number, very good. Just provide your name and address. Next, you will not write directly to the institution. You will write to the public information officer and then the name of the institution, whatever it is, and the address. Request for procuring information under section 6 of the RTI Act, and that will be the subject. You can modify it, change the language as you want. And then what you'll write, kindly provide me the copies of these documents. So what you write, kindly provide me the copies of. So tell me if somebody is aggrieved by any issue in the chat box. We'll take an example relating to that and we'll see what all questions can be asked. If somebody is facing any issue, any admission in any institution, you were denied, you're not happy with their response, say you are debarred from some, say, sitting in examination, any issue anyone wants to discuss in specific, please type it in the chat box. I'll take an example of RTI regarding that. Otherwise, I'll continue with the example regarding not letting you appear to sit in examinations on the basis of less attendance. Okay, at the moment, I don't see anything in chat box, so I continue with that example. So what I'll write here, kindly supply me with the copy of the attendance register. Kindly supply me with the copy of the following documents. First will be attendance register, say of the class of contracts, held in between academic year, whatever year is this, for semester, whatever semester the contract subject is provided in. Second, what question can I ask is, under what rules and regulations is attendance of whatever percentage, say 75%, is mandatorily given in this college? So that you, once you get the register and you find that your attendance is say 70, but you don't know what law it is which provides for 75% attendance, then you will rely on the second point, the second document, what you will get from the college. Third is, you will say what are the rules and regulations debarring a student from say appearing in examinations on the basis of deficient attendance. So that notification will help you in understanding, okay, fine, my attendance is 70%. This is the rule which says 75% is mandatory. And along with that, this is the third rule which says that if you are not having 75% attendance, then you'll be debarred from your exam. Lastly, you can ask what is the time, no, you will not ask what is, you will simply say kindly provide me with a document which is relating to attendance apart from the ones mentioned above. So that in case there is any document which is regarding, say, a student can be allowed to sit in exams if he produces a medical certificate, or in exceptional circumstances which are mentioned in that document can be, say, medical reasons in family or anything else, then in that circumstance, student will be allowed to sit in exam for that semester, provided he will have to rectify his attendance, say, make up for that attendance in next semester, something of this sort. Now, of course, this all what I'm discussing is a hypothetical situation. So like this, you can procure the copies of those documents, and towards the end, you can write that kindly provide me the reply within 30 days from the receipt of this RTI, which means that whenever this RTI reaches the college within 30 days from that day, you will receive the reply from your PIO, Public Information Officer. Now, in case, suppose this RTI was to be written to the university and not to your college. Suppose your college is affiliated to some university. This was not the domain or the manner or within the powers of your college. This was rather to be written to university. What will you do? You have wasted 30 days. Exams are in next. You were waiting for a reply. You realized after 30 days have lapsed, after you got the reply, that, oh, I was not supposed to write RTI to college. This was to be written to the university. Then what will you do? You have hardly 15 days left for your exams. Then what you can do is, in the RTI itself, in the Act itself, there is a provision that if in case, that is under Section 6(3) of your RTI Act, that in case this RTI has gone to a wrong PIO, which means wrong Public Information Officer within the same department, you cannot send it to police, you cannot send it to, say, court. You will have to send it to the same department, which is Education Department. By mistake, if this has been sent in college, kindly forward it to the correct PIO, which will be the PIO of the university. So that as soon as college receives this RTI, college sees your application and says, this is an incorrect application. This is not to be seen by us. The correct PIO would be university PIO. So college itself will transfer it to the university. Your 30 days will not get wasted. Now, please move on to the next slide. You've understood as to how an RTI is written. Now, let's see after 30 days, what you get from the officer on PIO is, college is shut due to COVID. Kindly contact us after college resumes. This is what you get the reply from PIO. And you are quite anxious because exams are in next 15 days and they are letting you sit for the examination. Immediately you move in first appeal. Now, time period, the moment you get reply or the date from when you had written the RTI application, you need to wait for 30 days for the reply. If 30 days have lapsed or you have got a reply, from that day, within next 30 days, you can file a first appeal. Now, this first appeal will go to a State Information Commissioner, who is the head of PIO. Even whether PIO has rightly answered to your query or not, and then accordingly will provide you with the correct answer. You will simply write in your first appeal in the same format as we discussed regarding RTI, that I am not satisfied with the reply of PIO basis these reasoning, kindly provide me these documents. Now, SIC, State Information Commission, will look into it. If it finds that PIO has given an incorrect reply or has deliberately concealed the correct reply, then in the second appeal, when you will go to Central Information Commissioner, then at that time 250 rupees will get deducted. He will also have to pay penalty. So that ways PIO is made to work properly. He cannot, under the garb of RTI or any other provision, try to conceal your information. Similarly, as first appeal, if you are dissatisfied with the reply or no reply has been received by the State Information Commission, then you move to Central Information Commissioner, and then that is called as second appeal. If you are still dissatisfied with second appeal, then ultimately you go to a high court in the form of writ petition. Now, today, since we were dealing majorly with RTI and its drafting, how to file it, that is what is covered under RTI Act. Now, the question which can come to your mind are 2, 3. First is, how much money will I spend in filing RTI? And how to file this RTI? Answering the first question, it is very sasta tikau, very cheap. You have to simply pay 10 rupees by way of a postal order. Go to the post office, take 10 rupees postal order, fill it, attach it along with your RTI and speed post it. Or if you want to go to the department, file the RTI over there, give 10 rupees cash, get the receipt of payment of 10 rupees, your RTI is filed. So very cheap, not at all expensive, does not require any lawyer's assistance. If any lawyer is talking to you and saying, I will help you in filing RTI, tell him I am self-sufficient. I know the provisions of RTI Act. I myself will file RTI. So it is cheap, it is affordable, it is very easy to draft, and it is easy to send as well. How do you send? Either you send it through speed post, or some departments are even registered online on the RTI website. You can file it even online. Some states have made e-portals as well. Over there also you can go and register RTI. Like Haryana government has e-Saral website. Delhi government has a website wherein you have different departments wherein you can file RTI application, and thereby you can simply receive. Then once it is filed, you will receive a reply within 30 days. So you can go to the next slide. That's all from my side. If you all want to ask any questions, then please feel to do so, either by way of chats or by way of raising hands, unmuting yourself, howsoever is being directed to you.
Participants, the floor is open for question answers. You can raise your hands or write the questions in the chat box.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, my name is Arvind Rathore. Suppose I have to file RTI regarding the FD, which the bank have lost. What the procedure will be?
Yes, Rana is right. First, we have to see whether that bank is a public bank or not, or whether it is a private bank. Private bank will not reply to your RTI information because it does not fall under RTI Act.
Okay.
So, which bank is this?
United Bank of India, suppose. It is a nationalized bank, Punjab National Bank.
Okay, so Punjab National Bank is very well governed under the RTI Act because it is a government bank.
Yes,
it is financially and administratively controlled by government.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, RTI Act will be applicable on this.
Okay.
Now, bank has lost your fixed deposit. What you have
Yes,
to do is write a RTI application now. Tell me yes or no in the chat box, everyone. If I
Yes,
write
ma'am.
RTI application under section 6 of RTI Act to Punjab National Bank, and then I write the entire RTI application, is that RTI application going to be entertained or not? Yes or no? Please type it in the chat box. Arvind, you are free to answer by unmuting.
Ma'am, yeah, maybe it will be the public information officer, that bank.
Yes, but I did not write so. I simply wrote to Punjab National Bank RTI. So that will not be entertained. So what I'll do to the public information officer, Punjab National Bank, and whatever branch you are wanting to write this RTI in, you will write the address.
Okay.
Then what will you write? You will give a brief background of your case. You will say, I, so and so, Arvind, resident of, son of, had opened an account in your bank, having an FD, had also opened an FD, bearing FD number, if you have the FD number, of rupees, whatever the principal amount was, in the year, or if you remember the date, you put the date. Then after giving the background, you now will write, kindly provide me the following documents. First, a copy of the FD, a copy of the fixed deposit. Second, all documents relating to opening and closure of this fixed deposit in case bank says tomorrow that this has been closed and we have demolished the records. So then you need to have that specifically stated. Third, rules and regulations regarding preserving a fixed deposit in your bank. Suppose some rules says that within last 3 years, documents will only be preserved. Documents prior to 3 years will be destroyed. And suppose your FD is say 10 years ago FD. So then you will be in a fix. So you can ask for all these documents, and then you will write, kindly transfer this RTI application to the correct PIO in case an incorrect PIO has been written under section 6(3) of the RTI Act, and then you put your name, put your address, put your mobile number, sign it, attach 10 rupees postal order if this is in Delhi. Other states might have different denomination money fees, and then you can send it through speed post.
Okay, ma'am, suppose I file the RTI only to the Punjab National Bank, they will not reply?
No, Punjab National Bank is bound to reply. The PIO should reply within 30 days.
No,
If
suppose
PIO fails to reply,
suppose I didn't
go
write
ahead.
PIO, yeah, Punjab
Hmm.
National Bank. So then what will happen? They will reply or not?
They will probably not reply because they have found a very easy defect in your RTI application.
Okay.
Then in that
okay.
case, no one is stopping you. File a fresh RTI application today or
Okay,
tomorrow.
okay,
I mean, as soon
okay.
as possible.
Okay,
Even if
ma'am.
your first RTI has got rejected, there is no such mechanism in RTI Act which says that once you ask this information again, you cannot ask. So you
Okay,
can
okay.
again make a fresh RTI application,
Okay,
correct
ma'am.
all the defects which were there earlier, and
Okay.
then send it again. You
Yes,
are
ma'am.
then
Yes, ma'am.
bound to get the reply.
One more question, ma'am. I have. Suppose there is a pro forma of section 6 RTI 3. Like pro forma is needed, is compulsory, or just a plain paper A4 size it it
Plain
will be
paper
okay?
A4 size is good enough to go. There is no
Okay.
need for any set pro forma. There is no set pro forma. Only there are some requirements like your name,
Okay.
your address, your contact details.
Okay.
PIO
Okay.
is to be written. RTI application at the top is to be written. You can seek only the copies of the documents. You cannot say, why have you destroyed my FD?
Okay.
Why
Okay.
have you lost my FD? You have worked carelessly. You cannot ask these
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
simply procure copies of it. Your signatures at the end are required. Your name and your contact details are required.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome. Are there any other questions? Okay, so let's do a quick quiz. I'll ask two questions. Tell me whether
Excuse me,
a
ma'am.
political...
Ma'am, there is a question in the chat box. Shall I read it out for you?
Just a second. Okay, I can see it. You may need not read it. If we file a RTI application in suspicion of a scam, we seek information from the government institution, but the scam is also supposedly carried out by the government or its officials. So how can we be sure of the veracity of the information? See, Aryan over here is asking a very important question. He says that what if the officials in itself want to conceal that information, what we are seeking in RTI? What information do you seek in RTI? You are seeking copies of the documents. So suppose today you file an RTI, let us say any of these scams which we discussed, say other society scam which we discussed. Over there, the officials which were passing the file for allotment of the flat to the widows of Kargil war, they themselves got one flat in that building. So they themselves were involved in it. That is what exactly the situation Aryan is asking about. Now, if I am the PIO in that department, I will not fabricate a document. What is fabrication of document? Creation of false evidence. I will change the document itself. I will bring in another document, forge the signature of someone else. In RTI, you are not seeking the reasoning. You are not seeking anything which is not recorded, which is not an information. You are seeking rather the information. You are seeking copies of documents. You are seeking copies of, say, maps, layout plans. In other societies, what could have they sought? All the permissions which were granted, all the circulars and notifications, all the, say, call for applications, who all submitted their money, how the money was submitted, all of those information which has already been recorded will be provided by PIO. If PIO himself is fabricating a document later, now such fabrication will come into light eventually, be it by filing counter applications, counter RTI applications. Say, let us take an example. For sanctioning of the building, a sanction plan or a permission is to be taken from the corporation as well. Whichever municipal corporation of Brihan, Mumbai, you have Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation in Bombay, in Mumbai, in Delhi you have Municipal Corporation of Delhi. So there also I can always file an RTI seeking what document has been sanctioned. So I can also file cross RTIs to check whether that information which is provided to me is correct or not. And once there is a mismatch, this document is not matching with this document, what is submitted in that department and what is shown to me by this department, then that means this PIO has fabricated the document. Then I will file a criminal complaint against this PIO because he is involving himself in another offense, which is fabrication of evidence. So that is how, Aryan, I hope I have answered your question. That is how you can make that official also liable, which will eventually come into light. You have to be just little smart when you're getting the information and analyze whether this is a fabricated document or this is a correct document. Also, when you get the information, which are the documents, those are certified by the department. So in my opinion, a PIO will never take that risk of fabricating evidences, because later he will be liable at a very high threshold. So Aryan, does that answer your question? Please type yes in the chat box. Okay. Rana is asking, ma'am, can you please elaborate more about e-filing of RTI? I heard that filing online application is more costly. Is it correct? Okay, I'll answer to that question. Somebody had unmuted themselves. Okay.
Ma'am,
So
I have
I'll
one
answer.
more question.
Okay. Can I answer your question after Rana's question?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So Rana asks me that online is costlier than offline. See, practically speaking, offline, how much will it cost you? 10 rupees of postal order. Or when you're going into the department, you will go to the department, give 10 rupees there, take a cash receipt of payment. So basically 10 rupees and your travel charges to the department. In speed post, 10 rupees as well as speed post charges, which is mostly say 18, 20, depending on whether it is interstate, then 40 rupees also probably. However, in online, you will have to pay 10 rupees only, but the conveyance fee which is given to your bank, because you will be doing a transaction, say by internet banking, then that is, I believe, 23 rupees or so, depending on what bank you are a member of, have an account in. So that charges as well. So otherwise, the charges for the RTI application remains absolutely same, be it offline or online, and does not matter as to which mode you are choosing. I hope, Rana, that answers your question. Okay. Yes, somebody was unmuting their mic. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, I have one question regarding, ma'am, every public department have its own PIO. It is necessary.
Yes, it is mandatory under the RTI Act. Every
Okay.
public authority will have a PIO. That is very much given under your RTI.
Okay, ma'am, I didn't hear that bank are having a PIO. I don't know, but I didn't hear. I heard.
Because many banks are private banks.
Okay.
So that's why they will never have PIO. They will not even fall under the ambit of RTI Act. All your public banks will definitely have a PIO. But banks are also taking another excuse. Now, there is a tiff of judgments over here. There is one judgment which says that banks will fall under the RTI Act. Banks, on the other hand, say that we are falling under the exceptions of RTI Act. That you cannot seek information from us because we are having information which is relating to economics, which is relating to public interest, which is relating to sovereignty of the country, which is relating to integrity of India. Under those exceptions, if also we will not give you information. However, there is a judgment which says that banks, even RBI, will fall under the ambit of RTI Act. So you have busted one of my quiz questions, but I hope that is giving you a good information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, can you please give an example of a private body which can be accessed by a public authority? A private college which is funded by the government at the time when college was built. The land was taken on a very subsidized rate and was taken by the government because educational institutions do get subsidies. So such college will fall under the ambit of RTI Act under public authority because it is accessed by a public authority. So that ways it will still fall under the ambit of public authority. Does that answer your question? Smriddhi had asked me. Smriddhi, does that answer your question? I believe yes. Okay, yes. Okay, so should we move on to the last quiz question then?
Ma'am, actually, I had a question. Ma'am, by taking Arvind's example, like his FD was, is misplaced by the bank. Ma'am, can he cross the line of this, like not asking the bank, can he directly file an RTI? The hierarchy, there is no such maintained hierarchy, but without asking the bank, can he go and file an RTI that yes, without asking an explanation from them? Like he was just informed that his FD has been lost.
No, but then he'll file an RTI where? If he's not asking an RTI, he's not filing that RTI in the bank, he needs to file it at some other place. Where else will he file that RTI?
Okay. Yeah.
So he will have to ask the department as to wherever that department is having the record. So either it can be a bank, or let us assume that bank has now merged with another bank. So then in even the merged bank, or say two banks have amalgamated together, and a new separate entity or a new separate name has been given to this amalgamation, even to this amalgamation, he can file an RTI instead of that original bank, because the entity has changed. Or let us say, taking an easier example of what you are saying, let's go back to school and college again. Your college is having some document which eventually is to be submitted in your university. So either you file a RTI in your college saying kindly give me my mark sheet, or college says that no, this mark has been submitted to university, you and go fetch it from university, or the records are now with the university. So now you can file an RTI even in university. And whenever you are filing RTI in such cases wherein you yourself are unsure whether it will be filed in this department or that department, though they should fall under same domain, you should not go completely to a different domain. Suppose it is relating to education, so you will go to a college or university. You will not file it, say, before police, before, say, postal office, nothing of that sort. So then in those applications, you should always mention, if this is the incorrect PIO, kindly transfer it to the correct PIO in order to save your time. Because after 30 days, you'll get an incorrect reply, then you'll again write a fresh RTI. So you'll waste on your time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So, most welcome. So Aryan asks, my college is a private college, but it is under state university. Can I file RTI in my college? The answer is, again, go back to the definition of public authority. Whether it is financially aided and controlled by state university or not. If yes, then of course you can. If not, then you can maximum file RTIs in your state university pertaining to your college. But that is upon state university whether it wants to answer that question or not, give you that information or not, because now it is relating to a third party. Had it been directly between you and university is bound to answer. But the moment you file an RTI which is relating to a third party, this PIO will ask the third party whether you want to reveal this information to this applicant or not. If they deny it, then you will not get the answer. So I hope that answers your question. Aryan, does that answer your question? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. It will involve a little bit of application of mine as to what we have studied today. What do you think? I'm giving you two options. There are two options. Out of one of these two, one of them is falling under RTI Act. Is it a political party which will fall under RTI Act, or is it a politician which will fall under RTI Act? Yes, so please answer in the chat box. Is it the political party, your parties which are there, BJP, Congress, etc., or is it the politicians which will fall under RTI Act? One hint I have already given you. One of them do fall under RTI Act. Okay, first person to answer correctly is Kiran, then Disha, then Aryan. Yes, it's the political party and not the politician, because political parties get financed from the government and thereby become public authority under the Act. We have a judgment to this effect also. And politicians will not be governed unless and until they are taking some sort of finance, which is usually not the case. No politician in his personal capacity takes finance from the government. It is the parties which are given donations or say such monetary funding. So it's the political party. So anytime now you want to reveal some scam, feel free to do that. You know how RTI is to be filed. You can do it right away. It's cheaper. It's easier to file. No need for any lawyer to do that. Okay, so that wraps up my session. If there are any further questions, feel free to ask. Most welcome, Rana.
Ma'am, I suppose there are no further questions. So thank you so much for today's session, and I'll move on with the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I can see some messages in the chat box as well. Thank you, everyone. And this was a great audience. People were applying their mind. People were interactive. They were answering to the questions and to the quiz question as well, which required actually a little bit of application of mind. So I'm happy, and I believe all of them will do well. Since they are merely law college students, they have not yet read RTI Act. So if you are interested in reading more, do go and read up. It's a very interesting act. And of course, you can use it for your personal grievances as well as for activism as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So shall I move on with the vote of thanks? Okay. So I, Shariba Tasneem, on behalf of Team Law Internships, would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Miss Manasi Bhushan ma'am for taking out time from her busy schedule and interacting with the young minds. It was truly an enriching session. Thank you again.